Welcome. You're joining us for a deep dive into a really influential book, James Clear's Atomic Habits.
That's right. And our goal today really is to unpack the core ideas, the strategies he lays out.
Yeah, we want to help you understand how these, well, seemingly small changes can actually lead to some pretty remarkable results over time.
Exactly. We'll dig into how habits actually work, why they matter so much,
Yeah.
and then the practical stuff, how you can build good ones, and just as importantly, break the bad ones.
And Clear starts with this concept, this core idea of atomic habits. Think atoms, right? Tiny.
Uh-huh. Fundamental building blocks.
Exactly. He's saying habits are like that. These little, almost invisible daily actions are the foundation for, well, bigger changes, bigger systems.
And a really key distinction he makes early on is focusing on systems rather than just, chasing goals.
Right. He says your outcomes are sort of a lagging measure of your habits.
Mm-hmm. What you see now is because of what you've been doing consistently.
Hmm.
So if you want different results, you got to focus on your current path, your trajectory. Change the system.
And the power in these tiny habits, these atomic habits, comes from compounding. It's like compound interest, but for self-improvement.
Yeah, that 1% better each day idea, it sounds tiny, maybe insignificant on day 1 or day 2.
But over time, huge potential. He does warn about patience, though, doesn't he? This plateau of latent potential.
Oh, absolutely. That period where you're putting in the work, you're being consistent, but you don't see the results yet. It feels like you're flatlining.
But the big gains are often hiding just beyond that plateau. You got to stick with it.
And Clear knows this firsthand. His own story, that serious baseball injury in high school.
Yeah, he used these small, consistent habits to recover, step by step.
And it wasn't just recovery. It propelled him forward, helped him excel in college baseball, build his writing career, and ultimately write this book. It gives his advice real weight.
Definitely. Okay, so he gives us a framework, right? The 4 laws of behavior change.
Yep, built on that classic feedback loop.
Yeah.
Cue, craving, response, reward. Super practical.
Let's break them down. First law, make it obvious.
This is all about the cue, the trigger.
Yeah.
That little piece of information that kicks off the whole habit process because it predicts a reward is coming.
So step 1 is just noticing, becoming aware of the habits you already have.
Exactly. He suggests using what he calls a habits scorecard, just listing out your daily actions. It sounds simple, but it's powerful. You start seeing patterns you weren't even conscious of.
Makes sense. You can't change what you don't see.
Then he talks about implementation intentions.
Right, getting really specific. Not just I'll exercise more, but I will do this specific exercise at this specific time in this specific location.
That feels much more concrete. Does it actually work?
Yeah, there's good research. He cites a study where people who made these specific plans for exercise were like way more likely to follow through than people who just tracked it or got generic motivation.
Planning makes it obvious when and where to act.
Mm.
Okay, what about habit stacking?
Yeah, building on what you already do. BJ Fogg pioneered a lot of this. The formula is simple. After I do my current habit, I will do my new desired habit. So you're linking the new thing to something already automatic.
Precisely. Like after I pour my morning coffee, I will do 10 push-ups. The coffee is the established cue. You're just adding the next step. Makes it easier to remember and initiate.
And it's not just mental cues, it's the physical environment too, making good habit cues visible.
Totally. Like his example of putting your medication right next to your toothbrush, you see it when you do your existing routine. Simple but effective environmental design.
And the flip side for bad habits, make those cues invisible.
Get them out of sight. Reduce exposure. If you snack mindlessly watching TV, maybe don't keep snacks right by the sofa.
He also warns about mixing contexts, right? Like trying to work in the same spot where you relax.
Yeah, your brain gets mixed signals. Can trigger the unwanted habit like checking social media when you sit down and tending to work.
Yeah.
Keep environments distinct where possible.
That story about the paramedic instantly recognizing her father-in-law was seriously ill.
Mm-hmm. That shows how powerful subconscious cue recognition becomes with experience. We develop these sensitivities.
And for breaking bad habits, sometimes just saying it out loud helps. Like, I'm about to waste time on my phone now.
Yeah, verbalizing it can make the cue and its consequence more conscious, more tangible. It creates a moment of choice.
Okay, that's making it obvious. Law number 2, make it attractive.
This digs into the craving part of the loop. Cravings are the engine, the motivation. But here's the insight. You don't crave the habit itself.
You crave the feeling or the state change it delivers.
Exactly. You don't crave scrolling Instagram. You might crave novelty, connection, or escaping boredom. Understanding that helps you make good habits more appealing.
So how do you make, say, exercising more attractive? He mentions temptation bundling.
Right, this is clever. You pair something you want to do with something you need to do.
Like his example, only letting yourself watch your favorite trashy TV show while you're on the exercise bike.
Precisely. The want TV show makes the need exercise more attractive. It bundles the reward.
Makes sense. He also talks a lot about social environment.
Huge factor. We're social creatures. We tend to adopt the habits of the groups we belong to. 3 key groups: the close, family, friends; the many, the dominant culture; and the powerful, those we admire or aspire to be like.
Like the Polgar sisters, raised to be chess prodigies, that was just normal behavior in their home.
Yeah, the environment made intense chess study attractive and expected. And think about those classic Ash conformity studies.
Yeah.
People will literally deny what they see to fit in. Social norms are powerful drivers.
So surrounding yourself with people who have the habits you want can make those habits seem more attractive, more normal for you.
Definitely. Another tactic is creating a motivation ritual. Doing something you enjoy immediately before a difficult habit.
Like listening to your favorite pump-up song right before you start a workout.
Exactly. Gets you in the right state, associates the difficult habit with a feeling you enjoy.
And then there's reframing, changing how you think about the habit.
Yeah, focusing on the benefits, not the drawbacks. Instead of I have to go for a run, think I get to build endurance and clear my head. It's subtle, but it changes the feeling, the attraction.
Okay, obvious attractive. Next is Law 3. Make it easy.
This tackles the response, the actual habit itself. The simpler, the easier, the less friction involved, the more likely you are to actually do it.
Reduce the effort required. Seems straightforward.
It is, but we often overlook it. Think about that hospital cafeteria study Claire mentions.
Oh yeah, and Thorndike's work. They just put water in more places, made it more visible and accessible.
And water consumption shot up. No big campaign, just make the good choice the easy choice. Designing for the path of least resistance.
So how do we apply that personally? Priming the environment.
Absolutely. Laying out your gym clothes the night before, pre-chopping vegetables for healthy meals, anything that removes a step or a decision point later on.
Reduces that friction when the moment comes. And the 2-minute rule fits here perfectly.
It's brilliant. When starting a new habit, scale it down so it takes less than 2 minutes.
So instead of read 30 minutes, it's read 1 page.
Exactly. Or instead of do a full workout, it's put on my running shoes. The goal initially isn't mastery of the full habit. It's mastering the art of showing up. Making the start incredibly easy builds consistency.
That makes so much sense. Get the reps in for just starting.
And automation. Using technology where possible. Automatic bill pay, subscription services for healthy food or supplements, takes the effort out.
And for bad habits, you do the opposite. Increase the friction.
Make them harder to do. Leave your phone in another room when you need to focus. Unplug the TV and put the remote somewhere inconvenient. Add steps, add difficulty.
He also talks about decisive moments, these small choices that shape the path ahead.
Yeah, like choosing which door to walk through the gym or the donut shop. That initial choice dramatically changes the options available next. Mastering those small gateway decisions is crucial for making good habits easier down the line.
Got it. Obvious, attractive, easy. Brings us to the 4th law. Make it satisfying.
This closes the loop, the reward. Rewards, teach your brain. Hey, that thing we just did, that was good. Let's remember to do it again.
And the key is immediate satisfaction, right? That's the tricky part.
It really is. Our brains are wired for immediate gratification. What gets rewarded right away gets repeated. What gets punished right away gets avoided.
But so many good habits, exercise, saving money, learning a skill, the big rewards are delayed. And bad habits often give that instant hit.
Exactly the challenge. So we need to find ways to bring the reward forward, to make the completion of the good habit satisfying in the moment.
He mentions habit contracts.
Yeah, that's one way. Making a formal commitment, maybe even involving someone else as an accountability partner, adds an immediate social consequence, either positive reinforcement or a cost for failing. Brian Harris used this, paying his coach if he missed tracking his food.
Ooh, that adds stakes. What about tracking? Does seeing progress help?
Hugely satisfying. Using a habit tracker, just checking off a box, seeing a streak build, provides immediate visual evidence of your progress. It feels good. Clearer mentions the paperclip strategy.
Moving a paperclip from one jar to another for each completed task. Simple, visual, satisfying.
Exactly. It makes the progress tangible right away.
And finally, that advice about consistency. Never miss twice.
So important. Missing one day is inevitable sometimes. life happens. But letting it slide 2 days in a row, that's often the start of abandoning the habit altogether.
So the rule is get back on track immediately. Don't fall into that all or nothing thinking where one slip up derails everything.
Right. Perfection isn't the goal.
Exactly.
Consistency is. Bounce back quickly.
Okay, those are the 4 laws. But he goes deeper, talks about more advanced stuff too, like identity.
Yes, identity-based habits. This is a really powerful layer. Instead of focusing just on what you want to achieve, outcome-based, you focus on who you want to become, identity-based.
So it's not I want to run a marathon, it's I want to be a runner.
Exactly. And your habits become the evidence that proves that identity to yourself. Every time you lace up your shoes and go for a run, you're casting a vote for, I am a runner. He calls it repeated beingness. You become what you repeatedly do. True behavior change is identity change.
That reframes everything. It's not just about actions, but about reinforcing a desired self-image.
Which leads to his point about self-control. He argues it's less about heroic willpower.
And more about strategy. Designing your life so you don't need as much willpower.
Precisely. If you make good habits obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying, and the bad ones the opposite, you're basically automating good choices. You're playing offense with your environment, not just defense with willpower.
He touches on genetics too, doesn't he? How much does that play a role?
He acknowledges genes matter. They can make certain things easier or harder for you. Some people might naturally find it easier to stick to a workout routine, others to focus deeply.
But it's not destiny.
Not at all. It's about understanding your predispositions and then choosing games where the odds are tilted in your favor. Focus on areas where you have a natural inclination or combine skills to create a unique niche where you can excel. Play your own game.
And the Goldilocks rule, finding that sweet spot for motivation.
Right. We're most motivated when we're working on tasks that are just manageable, right on the edge of our current abilities.
Yeah.
Not too easy, boredom, not too hard, frustration. About 4% harder than your current level seems to be the zone.
Keeps you engaged, keeps you growing. But even good habits can have a downside.
Yeah, they can become too automatic. You can go on autopilot and stop paying attention, maybe miss small errors, or stop looking for ways to improve.
So you need reflection, review.
Absolutely. Regular reflection and review are crucial to make sure your habits are still serving you well and to consciously look for that next 1% improvement. He mentions the Lakers CBE program.
Career best effort, constantly reviewing and looking for small gains, even at the top level.
Exactly. Avoids complacency.
And finally, that Sorwright's paradox mention.
A great reminder. It's that question. When does a pile of sand become a heap? One grain doesn't make it a heap, but adding grains one by one eventually does.
So one tiny habit doesn't transform you overnight.
But the accumulation of many tiny habits consistently applied over time. That's what leads to remarkable change. It reinforces the whole atomic idea.
Wow. Okay. We've covered a ton from Atomic Habits. If you had to boil it down.
It's really about understanding that lasting change comes from small, consistent improvements. Focus on building good systems, not just setting lofty goals.
And use those 4 laws as your toolkit. Make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, make it satisfying.
That's the framework. Apply it to build the habits you want and invert it to break the ones you don't.
So the advice is, start small. Be incredibly patient, especially through that plateau of latent potential.
And remember that identity piece. Each tiny habit is a vote for the person you're becoming. Focus on who you want to be.
We definitely recommend picking up James Clear's book for way more detail, stories, and specific tactics. But hopefully this gives you a really solid starting point.
Yeah, think about it. What's just one small atomic habit you could start building, or maybe one bad habit you can make slightly harder starting today?
That's the real question. What's your first step?
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope it's given you some valuable tools for your own journey.
Definitely. Until next time, take care.